we live. Happy to be here. So part of what I do, part of everything that I do is about healing from trauma bonds, healing from narcissistic abuse, just a whole bunch of healing. So yeah, what we do here is we find ways. Let me go ahead and share this out. Hold on 1 second. Send that up. All right. All right. So Minister Robinson, Church of Real Talk, founder of the Now Movement, No Other Way But Forward. I wanted to go live tonight because, again, realizations, stuff that I think about during the day while I'm busy uploading stuff. By the way, the actual, Stop Rewriting Reality guide is up. It is live in the community. I think it's a very, very good workbook to help people figure out, are you really rewriting the reality that you experienced? Narcissistic abuse is a strange thing, because it's like you don't expect it to happen. It's not something that you say, oh, I might run into this, but we often end up here in this situation. What we do here at the Now Movement, No Other Way But Forward, is to help survivors figure out a way out of it. I think that's important because there's no guidebook. Well, I got a whole bunch of guides, but there's no instruction manual because again, it's something that you never thought that you would end up having to endure. But now that we're here, we can't just talk about the fact, oh my God, I got here. We have to figure out a way out. And the reason being is because it's important to me because I understand, what empathy and empath stand for. And we are the ones that are going to actually make this world a better place. Um, so let me just start by asking a few questions. How many videos do you think you binge watched about this subject? And there's really nothing wrong with it because that's usually the first stage of figuring out that you're caught up in something that you're finding very, very hard to understand. We tend to go online. Thank God for the internet. You didn't have to go to the library. You can actually get the information right from your phone or from your computer. But how many videos have you watched and still find yourself it's not getting you any closer to healing? How many books have you read? How many times have you finally understood what happened? That's the thing. Even when we're researching and studying it, it takes a long time for it to latch on because we still have that hope. We're still in that state of denial. We're still trying to figure out why this person is the way that they are. And that's a lot to mentally handle. Here you are, you think that you're in the relationship that you waited for most of your life, and then you find out that that wasn't the case. You're on the edge of admitting to yourself that this was all fake. This was all a plot, a plan. This was something that the CIA, I don't even think could actually make it work this good. Phase one, that's why I always come back to phase one, the love bombing stage. The whole purpose of that is to get you hooked. You have been dealing with a demon that has actually practiced this most of their lives. And let me get something straight because I'm starting to notice that it's starting to, I guess, this whole niche is starting to fracture where people are starting to think, oh, this is something that only women go through. No, it's not. And in fact, some of the most dangerous narcissists are women because they're covert narcissists. So they fly right under the radar. Because when in our society, when we look at a woman, this is something that should be cherished. This is something that should be protected. And they walk right into the front door of a whole bunch of victim stories, a whole bunch of stories of how every person on this planet did them wrong. And they're so happy that they met you. So yes, they come in under this strange uh, guise of being in need of you to be their savior. Now, I'm not saying that one is worse than the other. I mean, the damage that a narcissist does is the damage that they do. They break empaths. They do this almost like a hobby because you're light. I keep on trying to explain this. Whether you believe you're an empath or not, if you were grade A supply, I'm going to guarantee that you were an empath. And the narcissist knows through their decades of practice of how they're going to hurt people, they know that you're going to keep on trying. You're going to keep on trying to fix a situation that is literally unfixable. So here's a key point. Many survivors are not suffering from a lack of information. They are suffering from a lack of implementation. That's very important because you can have all the information in the world. I can sit a bunch of textbooks in front of you, and unless you're a physics major, you're not going to figure out how to make a bomb, a nuclear bomb. You're not going to figure it out. You're not going to figure out how to build a spaceship. Sometimes we come into what I like to call information overload when we deal with narcissistic abuse. You know, we think that we're getting it down pat. We're starting to understand what we went through. And then we hit another roadblock, or the narcissist does something that wasn't on page 54 of the book that you was reading. Or maybe the creator didn't go over that aspect of narcissistic abuse that day. So now you're thrown for a loop. You're sucked back into confusion. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. Again, there is no person on this planet that could ever be prepared to be infiltrated by basically a virus. That's what I like to call them, viruses. They have the same exact life cycle. Find host, drain host, destroy host, and then go find another host. That is literally the life cycle of these demons. You know, many of you are having a hard time dealing with it because you're dealing with the new supply. You're trying to figure out what happened. What did you do wrong? You did nothing wrong. You did actually everything right. Everything right that a normal functioning human being would appreciate, not the narcissist. Their main goal was to destroy you, and just like the life cycle of that virus that I spoke of earlier, they're just going to go to the next victim and do the same thing. How many lives need to be destroyed before we start healing and we start helping others heal? Because I know once we understand what we went through, and especially once we heal, we start to get like a bird's eye view of all the destruction that narcissists have left in their path since almost the beginning of time. We have friends, we have family members, we have people that have been caught up in this, and we didn't understand it at first. In fact, we may have been those people that said, oh, it's not that bad, just go find somebody else. Oh, they just wasn't raised right. No, no, this is deeper than this. And this is why, you know, I do what I do. This is why I write books. In fact, I finally I wanted to show this to you guys. This was basically the book that was written, the guidebook for Church of Real Talk, Chosen Ones Walk the Path with Amaris. Yeah, it's my book. This is me. It's on Amazon. I mean, this is kind of how I came to understand later on after dealing with my last narcissist that this was the path I was supposed to be on. To help people find peace. Thank you, Isaac B, for the likes. I appreciate you. To help people find peace. That one thing that just seemed always out of reach while you were in that dynamic with the, hey, Lady T Baby, thank you for joining and thank you for the likes. You know, that thing that just always eluded us while we were in that relationship or that situationship. Peace became a foreign word at one stage. It's something that you begged for because it was something that you had before you entered into this situationship. And you actually, yeah, sometimes you had bad days. I get that, but they didn't measure up to the horror that you experienced living with this person. This person that through forked tongue could say, "I love you." Who was ever prepared for that? You know, what is one thing you know you should do but still struggle to do. If you're in that process of healing, if you have decided that, listen, I'm tired of living my life in this way, becoming a shadow of my former self, what is one thing that you have decided that you're going to do to move forward? As I was completing the Stop Rewriting Reality workbook, after I checked it, I was like, okay, I could make 10,000 other templates. I could spend most of my time doing this, but I think we needed to have this conversation tonight because there comes a point, as with all things in our lives, as with all things in this reality, that you have to make a choice. And that choice has to come from inside. Because I don't know about you, but I can no longer have to sleep at night thinking to myself that this demon won. That this demon, thank you for the share, Lady TV, baby, that this demon actually succeeded in dimming my light. Oh, my light shines bright now. It shines bright through this movement. It shines bright because I'm able to assist others. I can help people understand what is going on. And most importantly, I can help people break free. Trauma bond is not this simple thing. You're talking about years of decades and planning before they even met you. You were just another science experiment to see if they could tweak what they do just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Because the relationship was over before it really started. You just weren't aware of that. Mental health professionals have said over and over and over again, it always follows the same process. It always follows the same pattern. And for those that are stuck wondering what the new supply is getting, after you put in all this work trying to save this relationship, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be honest with you, they're going to get the same thing that you got. Right now, the new supply, if they're not intermittent supply, if they are the supply that the narcissist has hinged all their bets on as the person that will sustain them for the next few years, it's going to happen the same way. Don't reach out to them. Why? They hate you as much as you dislike the supply that was previous to you. Because again, we're looking at years and decades of planning, of tweaking the blueprint of how they're going to destroy those with light. It hurts to think that you, as a sentient being, much less an empath, got entrapped by a demon. Again, I talk about this often. When I was younger and growing up, I loved horror movies. I really did. I don't watch them too much anymore, but one of the things that I noticed was, especially with vampire movies, you got to do something stupid like let the vampire in. Even though everything is screaming against it, you live in a town, you look through the peephole, you do all of this stuff to ensure your safety, but yet and still, this demon, this vampire, this virus has presented themselves to you, and you see potential and hope. So you're talking to them through the peephole, and they're saying all the things that you wanted to hear for I don't know how long. They're giving you an opportunity because if you're an empath, you went through trauma as well. They're giving you the opportunity to fix some of the things that you couldn't fix when you were younger. And then on top of that, they're mirroring you. So they're on the other side of the door, then they're talking like you did. They act like you, and you're looking through the people like, oh my God. Well, how can you be dangerous? You're just like me. And you do this, the thing that all people, that makes people get up and scream in theaters, you open the door. You let them in. I'm not saying you should blame yourself because once again, you did not what an empath would do, but what a normal functioning without a disordered human being would do. You saw the opportunity as an empath to love someone. And in return, you hope that that person would love you. I don't see anything wrong with that. But then again, you're dealing with a demon. They want you to love them. Again, phase one is very important to the life cycle of this virus. They want you to think that you have found your soulmate. They want you to think that you found someone that you could trust. They want you to think that you are someone that they could walk off into the sunset with. And once they've got you hooked, then the chaos begins. Everything, your whole world gets turned upside down. But see, phase one works so well that you keep on reverting back to phase one. You keep on saying this person can return to that person that I saw in the beginning, because I have to ask you one question. Who wakes up in the morning and goes through all this trouble to dim the light of another person? So it kind of leaves you befuddled. Now you're even deeper into the situationship. Now the disrespect, the devaluation, that's just coming rapid fire. But you just want to love and be loved. You, for most of your life, what have you've been fixing other people's problems. You can fix this person. You can make them understand that you have nothing but love for them in your heart. You can make them see reality. But then again, you didn't know this person had a disorder. It's called NPD, Narcissistic Personality Disorder. They went through trauma too, just like you did. However, they made the choice that somebody had to pay for that. And so they spent the rest of their life, while you spent your life trying to make things right, trying to keep the peace, trying to make people understand you by over explaining. They went out of their way. They learned to manipulate people. They learned to gaslight people. They learned to take advantage of people. Isn't that crazy? So, as I've been saying since the last 2 weeks, you weren't prepared for this at all. But that doesn't mean that you have to continue to suffer through it. See, the narcissist wants you to think that you must suffer through it. The narcissist, this trap is so layered that even once you leave, you're out of their presence. You could be living 1,000 miles away, sometimes 3,000 miles away. You could be living on a different planet. They left the back door, and that back door is called the trauma bond. Real talk. Mental health professionals talk about it all the time. They went out of their way. Like I said, the CIA could not have planned this better. They went out of their way to lock you in emotionally and become addicted to them. See, while you were trying to figure out how to save the relationship, they were giving you just enough. Again, done purposely. Nobody wakes up in the morning and does this stuff by mistake. They gave you just enough so that you would go back and think about the beginning. That was the trap. That if you're out, that's still the trap. When you get out, and I'm just going to be transparent here, don't you think that they're going to get it and understand? Don't you think that, didn't you think that, maybe they're going to reach out and, figure out the error in their ways and that they really ruined a good thing? No, they're not. Like that song, they're on to the next. You served your purpose. The only thing is they needed to ensure that they dimmed your light. They needed to ensure that they broke you. So the narcissist will do crazy stuff, even though you're out of the relationship. They will track your social media. They will ask people about you. They're not doing it because they care. So if you get that flying monkey or that unknowing flying monkey that says, "Oh yeah, I just saw, what's the name? They just asked about you." Don't get excited. They're not asking about that. They want to make sure that they finish the job. They want to make sure that they dimmed your light. That's why when it ended, they had nothing good to say to you. Oh, you're never going to find anything better than me. You're never going to find anybody that's going to put up with you. You're never going to. They needed to embed that into your mind because they needed you to leave that situationship believing what they said. Remember, they spent, I want to say, a good 80% of the relationship chipping away at your confidence. One of the first things as survivors we need to rebuild because it comes to the point that we don't even trust ourselves. I found myself in shock the one time that I embarked on doing a new project and I asked their opinion. That was kind of like the cold water being thrown in my face. Like, what the hell are you doing? The whole time I was with this person, they couldn't accomplish anything. They couldn't do anything, at least not without my help, which meant I did the whole thing. They couldn't do anything. I think a project that they started 70 years ago, they're still working on. No completion in sight because they need someone to do it for them. That's part of their disorder. They feel superior. They feel they can do anything. But once you get to know them, you soon find out they can do nothing. They wear people. They take skills and attributes from people and call it their own. Again, a demon, a virus. This is what they do. They don't do this because they have this confidence. Remember the confidence that you saw in the beginning? Again, this is what you're pinning your hope and potential on. Didn't you find out now that near the end that they're not confident at all? That air of superiority was fake. It was as fake as the beginning of the relationship. Lady T, baby, you're correct. Parasites. That's another pet name that I have for them, parasites, because again, it's the same life cycle. And they don't care. They know what they're doing. They're well aware. That's part of the disorder. They are well aware, but they continue to do it because they need to push that shame down, that thing, that trauma that was caused at an early age. They spend their whole life destroying people so that they can hide from themselves. Back on TikTok, there was this book that everybody was selling. I mean, everybody. You went in TikTok shop, you was TikTok shop creator. That's what you sold. Doing the shadow work or the shadow workbook, whatever it was called. They're never going to do that because in order to do the shadow work, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be honest with you. For you to heal, you're going to have to do the shadow work. But the narcissist can't. Couple of things missing: no accountability, no remorse, no empathy, and they already feel like they're superior to the whole world. So they're never going to do the shadow work. In fact, they feel that everybody thinks like them. This is part of their disorder. This is mental health stuff. This is not me just saying this stuff. This is mental health professionals. They think that everybody thinks like them. How many of you have a narcissist that for some strange reason everybody's out to get them? I'm talking about family, friends, their kids. It doesn't matter. Everybody is out to get them. Everybody is out to destroy their life. But yet still, when you listen to them, it's like, well, gee, the way you talk about these people, I don't think they're out to get you, but I don't think they want to F with you. I really don't think they want to deal with you because they think that that's part of their disorder. They think everybody's out to get me, so therefore I should get them first. This is why they cheat. This is why they lie, because they figure that you are going to do the same thing. So they might as well beat you to the punch. Again, it's a disorder, and this is why just binging information doesn't help. It's a good start. It's a great start. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say don't find out information. Knowledge is power. But how many pages of a book on one aspect or one criterion of NPD is going to help you heal? You've got to take action. There's no way around it. And I know many people don't want to hear that. There's no magic pill to fix this. Your body is in emotional turmoil. You know what's the thing that people take when they use illicit substances and they do too much of Narcan? There's no Narcan for the trauma bond. There's not, and literally that's what you are. You're addicted, purposely done this way. That's what the intermittent reinforcement was. Intermittent reinforcement works on the fact of I'm going to give you a couple of perceived good times, and then I'm going to make your life a living hell. And then you're going to sit back and wait for those perceived good times based on what I showed you in the beginning. It's insane. And sometimes when I'm doing these lives and I'm talking about this, sometimes I feel like I'm making this up. This can't be real, but it is. It is. And it's gone throughout history. There's stories of narcissists in the Bible. There's stories of narcissists in the Quran, and Buddha even speaks about narcissists. So this is real, but they continue to hide in plain sight, and I needed to stop. I needed to stop. I need to become the narcissist's worst enemy, and I need you guys to become the narcissist's worst enemy. We need to basically rip off their mask. And the only way we can do that is by healing, because if you don't heal, you stand a chance to be hoovered in. Oh, don't worry about the hoover. That might come next week. That might come next month, next year. It could be 5 years from now. The narcissist in their sick mind, no matter how bad they treated you, again, that's why I said it's done on purpose. This is why they built this back door that we call the trauma bond. They feel that they can come back at any time. They feel that the way that they treated you was because you deserved it in their mind. So the pain that they caused to the person that just wanted to fix the relationship, they feel that they were entitled to do it. And one of the things that I need to do is I need people to understand that they're not going to change. We all have watched Lee Hammond. We've all watched Bat Wolf, all of those self-aware narcissists. We watch them and we are amazed, but they're still narcissists. At the end of the day, each and every one of them will tell you, I'm still a diagnosed narcissist. They just know that they have a disorder. They become aware. I think Lee said that he spent 9 years in constant therapy. He has never gotten on live and said, this is the way that you fix your narcissist, because many of us would run to our bank accounts to fix the person that we fell in love with. We would. If there was a cure, but there is no cure. This person will be this way until they hit the dirt. And this is what I have been trying to get people that have been trapped in this to understand, because that's the hardest part of moving forward. Unpacking the hope, unpacking the potential. Nothing moves forward until you do that, until you decide that, okay, due to the way that they treated me, because I experienced this. I was right there. I don't care what anybody says. I know what I saw. I know what they did. I know what happened. I was there. So you know what happened. Why are you rewriting it? Why are you changing it? Why are you making excuses for them? While you abandon yourself. See, that's the hardest part to understand. The disrespect I can deal with. The devaluation I can deal with. But the erosion of confidence and watching myself abandon myself to save someone that had no intent on being saved, that's the part that hurts. Because you abandon the person that you are. God, your higher power, the universe, put you here for a reason. And that reason disgusted the narcissist. Because they knew that what you had inside of you, they would never embody within themselves. They knew that. And that's why it was game on. As soon as they figured out First conversation, a couple more conversations, they're like, oh, okay, you're an empath. You one of those that's going to keep on trying. You want to try to fix me. You want to try to fix the relationship. You're going to try to make this work, which means nothing but supply for me. The mindset of a virus, not of a human being, not of a sentient being, not of a being with emotions or feelings. We have talked about so much the last few weeks, and in the last few weeks, I have been building the inner circle. That's what I spend most of my time doing. What goes here? What goes here? What can I create for here? What can I do this? Tomorrow we do the big thing. We do the June 1st, which is Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day internationally, where we're going to educate, we're going to talk about this, we're going to share stories, we're going to share wins, right in the community. Right in the community, because I feel it's important, because when you survive this, when you come out of this, how do you celebrate your wins of healing? How do you celebrate the fact that your nervous system is coming back online? How do you celebrate that you feel good about yourself? How do you celebrate that inner confidence that you regain? I want us to do that together. That's why, thank you, Lady T, baby. Thank you. That's why communities like this have to exist, because this is, I'm going to tell you, you can't really discuss narcissism with the lay person or the everyday person. Sometimes people and our family, we can't discuss it because they've never experienced it. And this is literally, I hate to curse, but a shit show on wheels. Okay, so nobody really understands it. You're going to get the advice that you don't want to hear. Go find somebody else. Just get over it. All this stuff that you really don't want to hear. And then after the smear campaign, I think the worst thing that I heard was, I was talking to somebody about what I went through, and that person turned around, and I don't know if it was because of the smear campaign or what. This person literally turned around and said, "Oh, come on. You gotta be making this up. I don't think that I don't know them like that, but I don't think they're that type of person." I was done. I'm saying to myself, I just shared what happened to me and you're doubting me. No. That's why we need a community. People that understand just how devious this is. That people like Lady T that understands these are parasites, that understands that we're dealing with a virus, that we're dealing with Nosferatu. We're dealing with a vampire. We need people that understand that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we should just have a community and recruit more people into being abused by narcissists. No, I need people that are in different stages of healing so that we can support each other. When I built Church of Real Talk, that's what I wanted. It wasn't based on, I'm going to be honest, it wasn't based on narcissism. It was based on being chosen, knowing that you have a purpose and living within that purpose. So yeah, but everything happens for a reason. Then came my next project, Fractured Bonds, Tales of Betrayal. I think the intellectual side of my brain was showing me like, dude, this is I need you to follow this path, you know. And like everyone else, I had opportunities where I could have left. I had opportunities where I kicked them out. I had all of these opportunities and I just didn't stick to my guns. And in hindsight, every time that I didn't stick to my guns, what happened was it got worse and worse and worse. Again, what do you expect from a demon? That's what you have to ask yourself. If you find out that you're dealing with a demon or a demonic force or a spirit or a monster or whatever, what do you really expect? Do you expect them to give you grace? I don't think so. Do you expect them to be empathetic? I definitely don't think so. When a mosquito lands on you, do you think it looks at you and says, ah, you had a rough day. I'm not, because you're going to be itching after I bite you. Let me just fly away. No, it's going to bite you. This is the narcissist. This is what we've been dealing with. This This is the thing that we are trying to break free from. And I want us to break free. I want all of us to break free because there's so many more of us that need someone to say, I understand what you went through. I'm there for you. I'm there for you. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I think last month, I stopped what I call story time. And there was a reason for that because it was just pain dumping. Because I had to realize, I thought about it. I was like, okay, well, we've all been through narcissistic abuse, so we all know the pattern. The pattern is the same for everyone. It's always love bombing, devaluation, discard. Every time, without fail. It's going to happen to the new supplies, so stop worrying about it. Okay? It's just the way it turns out. You know, and what happens is I was getting on these lives and we was just talking about every aspect of, you know, the narcissistic relationship. That's not helping people heal. We could tell these stories forever and a day. It's not going to help anybody heal. Maybe it'll help them understand that somebody else went through the same exact thing. Maybe it'll help somebody else understand that, yeah, this really is a pattern. But at the same time, we need to take action. That's that other, besides choice, that's like the other. Hey, Blessed, how you doing? Thank you for joining. That's that, you know, besides choice, the other thing that drives this universe is action. You've got to take action. You've got to invest in yourself at this stage. You know, it's time to stop investing in someone by their very actions that's shown you that they never was going to invest in you, never did invest in you, and have no intentions of investing in you. That was your job there. That was your job. They're never, when you try to explain to them, let's say you was having a bad day at work, were they there to listen? Were they there to support you? I'm talking about, this is your mate, this is your husband, this is your wife. Did you ever feel supported in anything in that relationship? This is all in hindsight, but I'm going to guarantee, I'm going to vote that you started keeping your feelings to yourself. That's not how relationships are supposed to work, at least in my mind. That you have to keep everything that you're feeling inside, whether it be good or bad. Because telling them something good that happened in your life would be met with indifference. Oh, they're not going to support you. If you do something good, there's not going to be a big celebration. The reason being is because the spotlight is on you now. It's not on them. And they don't want to understand that. Even though this is your mate, this is supposed to be your partner, this is supposed to be your, you know, ride or die. Go ahead and get a promotion at work or get a raise or start a business or do anything. It will become one of two things. They will dismiss what you did, or they will now compete with what you did. They're not going to be there for you. Lady T Baby says, yes, no support. And Blessed 456, you're right. More fuel for them to hate you more. See, this is the thing. Sometimes when I'm working on stuff, I sit up there and I just, like, I'll just look at the screen and I'll be like, what the hell? This can't be real. You know, and sometimes I'll backtrack and I'll just go look at, you know, I'll just look up research papers or I'll look up studies or I'll go back to my fave dude, Carl Jung, you know, and be like, wow, this is because it's so unbelievable. Who on this planet will have someone fighting, literally fighting, giving up themselves, sacrificing their well-being to save a relationship, and that person, the other person in the relationship, is just sitting back laughing, finding new and inventive ways to make your life a living hell? Who does that? Lady T Baby says no support. Of course. So you have to look again. There's always something when and again, this is coming from a person that has lived through this. There is always something that we are avoiding in our healing journey. Here's the thing though. You've got to connect all the dots to heal completely. You do. You can't. This is so demonic and evil that you can't leave one thing out of the equation. That's like, the exorcist. They're like, oh man, I forgot the holy water. Okay, we can bypass that. No, that's not the way it works. We've got to go through the whole ritual, and part of the ritual is holy water. So when we look at it that way, there are going to be parts of healing. I think somebody on an earlier live said that they have a hard time sleeping and they have nightmares. You've got to address that. You can't just say, Lady T baby. I know. But you can't just say to yourself, "Oh, I'll bypass this part." Oh, really? I feel a little bit better. I'm not going to do the inner work. Oh, I'm doing no contact for the most part. It's no. You've got to do the whole thing. And like I said, the hardest part, and this is coming from a person who did it, is doing that inner work because you literally have to identify why. Because I'm going to tell you, I got caught in 3Ds. The last one was just like demon number one in hell. But I got caught in 3Ds. The last one was what made me wake up. I think the first one, because we were both young, they didn't have enough years practice. But the last one, oh, that was like Spawn, straight out the comic books. It really was. It sent me on this learning journey. And let me tell you something. Nobody looks this stuff up because they got nothing better to do on the internet. This is always people that are trying to figure out what the hell went wrong in their life and in their relationship. Nobody looks up narcissistic abuse. Oh, you think? I think them too. I really do. Blessed said, thank God you woke up though. Yes. Yes. But when you have to look at what created you to be an empath, there was trauma, there was pain. And you have to understand why, because most people don't get trapped up in just one narcissistic relationship. Because we actually have narcissists at work. We do. We have narcissists in church. We have them in school. Any place where people can have a little bit of power, you'll find a narcissist like up in the rafters, hanging and waiting. You will. You will. Any place, because their whole thing is control. You'll find narcissists in the military. I mean, in hindsight, I definitely had a chief or two that was narcissistic. And you'll find that they are attracted to you. Again, this is the only common denominator why they're attracted to you is because you're an empath and your light is literally blinding them and they have to destroy it. So you have to do that inner work, that shadow work to figure out, why do I over explain? Why do I keep on giving people second chances even though they don't deserve it? Why am I so compassionate even though being compassionate sometimes puts myself at risk? So we have to sit down and we have to unpack that stuff. And that's not the easy part. And I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. That was the part that I tried to avoid because I kind of knew where my trauma started. I had been slowly unpacking it through the years, but not fully unpacking it. And I didn't want to deal with it. But there's no way around. There's no shortcut. There's no collect $200 in passcode. There's none of that. You're going to have to sit down and do the work. So I did it. And things became a lot better. At the bare minimum, I started to trust myself again. Because that's what we go through when we come out of narcissistic abuse. We figured if we got caught up in this BS, why should we trust ourselves ever again? Much less other people. That's really hard, trusting other people. So yeah, there's a lot of work. It's not easy. I'm never going to be a creator that's going to tell you, oh, you can do this. It's going to be super easy. It's going to be hard. When you look at those people, some of them have these people in our lives, or we know of them, we grew up with them, that they use those hardcore things that they get from the guy on the corner. and we tell them, like, you gotta stop. Sometimes we do the interventions, you gotta stop, you gotta stop, you gotta stop, but what the answer is. They have to decide. And sometimes they decide, because I used to work at ARS in the Navy, alcohol rehab services. So sometimes they decide, but sometimes the journey towards healing is hard. Most things worth having are hard in this life. I tend to notice that. But it's hard. And sometimes they throw in the towel, and then they feel a little bit more ashamed of themselves, because here was everybody rooting for me. And Blessed says they are everywhere from the beginning of time. And yes, it is difficult, but so necessary. So they have shame for themselves because I tried to kick this stuff and I'm still hooked. Maybe I had another, they say 72 hours for most substances. I had an hour to go. I couldn't take it. So I called the plug back, or I ran to the corner. So they feel ashamed. They feel that they let people down around them. However, once again, the cycle will not end until they decide. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. You have to decide. You've got to take action. You could watch these videos until they stop making cell phones. It's not going to be a difference. It's not going to make a difference. You have to decide that you're tired of dealing with the way that you feel. You're tired of rewriting the reality that you actually experienced. And there's no shame in that because you're still stuck in phase one. You're figuring, if I forgive this person, maybe, just maybe, they will come back around. Yes, radical acceptance. Blessed 456, you're right. Radical acceptance. And that's one of the harder things to accept. I can, the thing is, I can sit down and I can lay out step by step, don't even know you don't know your relationship, and lay out step by step exactly how your relationship played out if you're dealing with a narcissist. Any of us that have healed can do that for you. But you have to believe it. You have to believe it. You have to say to yourself that, hey, listen, I experienced this. This was painful. I'm not going to make excuses for this person anymore. You're making more excuses for them than you're making for yourself. As you watch yourself wither away, as you pick up new and exciting sentences, as you lose all drive to do everything, you're still making excuses for them. And that's when it becomes super, super scary. So let's look at why the trauma bond exists. And I took this from Dr. O'Malley. Trauma bonds are reinforced through cycles of reward and distress. Intermittent reinforcement, we always talk about that. The hope addiction, relief mistaken for love, emotional conditioning. So let me explain. I think a lot of people don't understand this relief mistaken for love. When they come back around, doctor, it took me 7 times to radically accept the truth and change my mind. Yep. Yep. That's what they say. It takes most survivors. Any kind of abuse, because any abuse is based on control, and most abuses use the same system, whether it's physical or mental. So you'll find the same dynamics or the same systems in place with DV. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's really about control and actually pushing down that person's shame. When we look at relief mistaken for love, what happens is, and I often joke about this, it's like the narcissist has just raged out at you. They have just, cursed you out. You're going through the silent treatment. They're not speaking to you, this, that, or the other. You're getting frustrated. You literally feel like you're on a different tier and adult timeout. This is the person that's supposed to be your mate, and then out of the blue they come and they give you a hug. There you go. That was like calling a plug. Your body is all happy, your nervous system is all happy, And you start at that moment rewriting reality. You start saying to yourself, this person is on their way back. They're starting to understand. They're starting to see. And then you fall back into the love bomb stage just that quick. They might pull out the rug from under you 10 minutes later, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Those 10 minutes of relief is all it takes for you to go back to the hope and potential balloon. And you're happy as hell there. Plus yes, they call it breadcrumbs. Just enough hope to keep you hooked. In fact, that's the phrase that they use. Just enough hope to keep you hooked. The emotional condition, again, I often say that, if they went to work for the CIA, this country would be safe. We wouldn't have to worry about nothing, but they're not going to do that. They're not. But yeah, they have again. So I think if you study anything for decades, that you would be. I think Brian Tracy used to say that if you're into our professional, okay. I just wish that the narcissist studied something else besides being a demon. When you think about it, because they have spent decades, they have spent every waking moment of their lives doing this. This is what they've been doing. So they are literally experts at destroying people's lives. Who puts that plaque on their wall? I have 4,000 hours of being, what does it take to fly a plane? 3,000 hours before you get your license? I have 3,000 hours of destroying people's lives. I'm the best at this. This is why I tell people that you have to look at your relationship and say to yourself, and again, and I have to say this every time, I'm not trying to ruin nobody's relationship. I'm just trying to free as many empaths as I can. I really am. So here is something for you guys to remember. Many survivors are not attached to the person. They are attached to the possibility. It's not the person that you're attached to. You gave up on that person halfway through the devaluation stage. You're attached to their potential now because you're starting to see that they're a demon. You're starting to see that they're a virus. You're starting to see, if you would stop writing excuses down for them so much, you're starting to see that they're not worth the oxygen that they're taking in. Thank you, Blessed. Thank you. They're not worth that oxygen. But that's what you're bargaining on. It's no longer the person. It's the person that you've created in your mind, the person that was confident, the person that I used to say to mine forever in 2 days. And I feel nauseous just saying that now because they were the only person that I said that to. But now, like, my stomach is bubbling right now, because when I think of my narcissist, I literally get ill because I recognize them for what they are. They're a demon. And whatever works for you, but mentally that seems to work for me. That works out gangbusters. If I feel, and that's what I started when I started to feel that pull. I started the radical acceptance. Well, they treated you like this. They did this to you. They said this to you. Oh, okay. Well, that cinches it. It's a freaking demon. Don't call it your narc. You gotta help me out here, Lady T baby. My ex-narc? Maybe that would be better. Maybe just the demon. Let's just go with demon. I like demon. That works for me. But that's what I basically did to help myself heal. I had to put it all in a different frame because as long as I looked at them and couldn't get past the hope and potential, then I stood the chance of falling backwards. And I didn't want to do that. There was just too much at stake. The knock. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. That was the thing. Finding a way. And I think we all will find our own little ways to get this person out of our mind, because they, again, that back door, that's what the trauma bond is. It's the back door to keep you under control, to keep you where if they show their face again, you, oh my God. Go ahead, future fake me. Tell me that you're going to get better. Tell me that you're going to get therapy. Tell me that you're going to heal. And I'll take you back like a big fat dummy. No, no, they're after all the pain. With most survivors, this is why radical acceptance is so important. After all the pain that you experience, isn't it horrifying to think that you would accept this person back into your life? That's kind of scary to me. That's super frightening. So yeah, I played little mental head games with myself when if I had to listen to them, I do anything, you know. And now I'm at the stage where I really don't care about them. They don't affect my life one way or the other. You know, I can't go completely no contact. I got kids with them, but other than that, you know, controlled access. You're not getting under my skin anymore. I don't care what data you mine from me. You're not getting under my skin anymore. That's not going to happen. This is the part that the narcissist never wants to see in you. They never want to see you heal. They never want to see you whole. They never want to see you getting your life back together to, as I always say, the day before you met them. That causes such an injury, a shock to them, because they feel that they need to destroy you. That is their purpose. And if they can't destroy you, you've done a couple of things. You've actually shown them, like, no, you're not superior to me. Because the art of breaking you is to make them feel superior. I can destroy empaths. I can destroy people. Thereby, I must be superior. He who can destroy a thing can control a thing. Where did I read that from? Doom. He who can control, he who can destroy a thing can control a thing. And that is how the narcissist looks at it. If they can destroy you, they can control you. I have spoken to people that have been hoovered back after 8 years, free and clear for 8 years. Out the blue, to get the phone call, heart starts fluttering, they don't know what the hell to do. And then there's some people that they just look at the number and just don't pick up the phone. That it might not even be them. They might have got a whole different number, and that somebody else picked up that number, but you don't care. You're not taking that chance. And it's not even taking a chance. You don't care what they have to say. That's when you know when you heal. You don't care. You don't care. You're not that person looking at their social media. I don't care. I don't care who you're seeing. No, I don't think you're giving them anything better. You're not capable of it. See, these are the things that happens when you heal, when you understand what you're dealing with or what you were dealing with. This is how you heal. You're not worried about what they're doing, their glow up. No, the glow up is done to keep you guessing. This is why I said this earlier, this is why you can never get closure. They're never going to give it to you because that's a form of control. And they're hoping, they're praying, they're begging that you go and look at what they're doing. I could care less what you're doing. I really could care less what you're doing. It doesn't affect the price of rice in China. Okay, or oil in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, what you're doing is not going to make gas prices go down lower. So yeah, I don't care. And that's the point that I'm trying to get survivors, because that is an awesome feeling. They're damaged and want to bring you to their depths of despair. Of course they are. They're past damage. You know, because as empaths, we've seen damaged people. We have damaged people around us, but some damaged people have the potential to become whole again. Okay, we have people that come home from hot zones and they have PTSD. They're damaged. But with enough help and enough coaching, they can be fixed. You know, most survivors have PTSD, complex PTSD. Okay, but we can be fixed. Not the narcissist, though. There's no fixing there. Look it up. Once they made that choice after that trauma and they started picking up narcissistic traits, their very physiology started to change. This is medical science. This is not me just talking out loud. Their very physiology starts to change. The stuff up here. They're locked in. They're not changing. Because I would think after 9 years of intense therapy, I would think that Lee Hammond would have the cure, but he doesn't. And I'm not saying that to be shady or throw darts, but it just lets me know that there's no cure for this. Understanding what you have doesn't mean a cure. You know, if I had the big C and my doctor spent hours and hours and hours telling me that I have the big C, with the end thing saying, hey, listen, you know, get your affairs in order because there's nothing we can do. You know, I don't want to hear that. That's not helping me. That's not helping the situation. You know, they cannot be cured. You are right. They cannot be cured. I got the puzzle. I've been on for an hour. They can't be cured. How come YouTube never gives me the damn puzzle? They don't. They never give me the puzzle. It's always TikTok. Why did they do that anyway? You know, so we have to, you know, look at the reality. I'm like blocking the camera to the upper extreme. And I'm turning this camera upside down. I'm about to drop it. Oh Lord, bear with me, bear with me. But yeah, when you think about it, you know, there's no cure for this. There's no cure for this. So if your narcissist is future faking you, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go see a therapist," don't buy into it. What are they seeing a therapist for? Are they just going to figure out that they're a narcissist, or as most narcissists do, are they going to sit there and gaslight the therapist or gaslight the mental health professional? And then if they get seen through or their mask starts to crack in front of that person, what they're going to do is they're going to say, "I don't like that. I don't like that mental health professional. Let's go find another one." Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Because remember, they think that they are entitled. That is criterion number 4. They feel that they are entitled to do whatever they want to do. This is one of the reasons why the relationship became so stressful for many people, is because that sense of entitlement. The covert narcissists, they use more of the gaslighting manipulation, whereas the malignant and grandiose, they'll just come straight forward with it. But the covert narcissist is just so many mind games because they're trying to lead you to what it is that they want. You know, again, nobody does this by accident. You know. So let's talk about something that I've been trying to allude to. You know, not just for the community, but I'm really trying to allude to this part right here. The cost of healing alone. Healing alone feels safer. But, here's a big, huge but healing alone often leads to reality rewriting, isolation, shame, and a lack of accountability. See, this is why the community exists, for these reasons. And I'm going to break them down. Reality rewriting, that's what we're talking about. You know, if you're left to your own devices, you know, our conscious side of our brain tends to go for the path of least resistance. So if you're in a lot of pain, your brain is just there to try to protect you. You know, that's what it did in a relationship. It tried to protect you. What will happen is your brain will start making excuses. You know, how many times have you embarked on something that you knew was going to be freaking hard, And you literally had to kick yourself in the butt to get moving because your brain would just come up with all these excuses as to why you shouldn't get started. You know, there could be birds flying outside the window at the office. You know, you got to get the report done. You're going to go prop up in front of the window and say, "Oh, the birds look so nice." You know, so you're going to procrastinate because you don't want to deal with the pain of what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And you're right, blessed, and passive aggressive. They always are. Coverts are always passive aggressive. Um, so you're going to rewrite reality. The isolation, healing alone by default means isolation because more than likely, if you're trying to heal alone, you got tired of talking to people that kept on saying, get over it, or they can't be that bad, or nobody could do that, or you got to be making this up. So now you find yourself isolated. Now you no longer trust yourself because now you think that you have nobody that you can talk to about this, and you definitely don't trust other people. So by default, you're by yourself. Um, shame. Shame plays a huge part in that. I often tell people I'm a native New Yorker. And one thing about native New Yorkers, even though that's like the capital besides Nevada of like Three Card Monte and the Shell Game. But anywho, New Yorkers feel that you can't get one over on us. You know, I got caught up in this ish 3 times. You know, and the last one, in hindsight, I saw it coming, but I think, and this is from me doing the shadow work, it was what I thought I needed at the time. Not the abuse and the shit show behavior, but that person was what I needed, or the illusion that they portrayed. Um, so yeah, shame comes into play, and a lack of accountability. It's just like that guy that calls the plug, that has that hardcore, going through hardcore withdrawal. Sometimes I think this is why people go into treatment institutions is for accountability. You've got meetings, you've got workshops, you're surrounded by people, you have a one-on-one person, you have counselors that you have to seek counseling, and their job is to make you accountable for your healing. When you're accountable, I mean, I think that's why I never start goals to get validation, but sometimes I'll tell people I'm going to do this by this day. That keeps me accountable. I'm not going to break down what I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you step by step. I'm not going to bug you every day. I just want you to come back around. When I used to work for a mobile cell phone company back in the days, uh, me and my manager used to make bets all the time. We would set the bar super high, and like before, we would never include the other employees. Nothing. It was just me and him. In fact, he was part of the reason that I became a manager. My first jump up in the company was because we used to have these insane goals, and it was exciting. Sometimes I would win, sometimes I would lose. It didn't matter. It was the fact that I could do something. I could say that I'm going to do it and I'm going to get it done. And he kind of held me accountable, and I held him accountable. So healing alone, that accountability, again, when you look at a community where we have lives, like for most of the week, when you look at a community where I got to get the leaderboard set for wins. That's the last thing I have to do. It's completely fleshed out now. But when you have wins and you have people that want to celebrate with you, not like the narcissists, but want to celebrate with you and are happy of you and are proud, it makes you feel better. It makes you feel good. See, that's one thing that we didn't have with the narcissists. We didn't have that support. We had a lot of sabotage. We had a lot of dismissal. We had a lot of, oh, anybody can do that. But in this community, I want people. That's what I'm trying to figure out. The leaderboard tiers is like, what metric do we set that people can just come in and say, hey, listen, I want to stop, creeping their social media. That's a big thing for a lot of people, and you will find every excuse in the book to do it until you block them on everything, if possible. And like I said, if you have children, a business, you still work with them, you got property, then you can't block them completely. But for most of the free world that's dealing with narcissists, you can block them completely, and I mean including LinkedIn. You can. So when you look at things like that, if I can make something where people can come in and say at the end of the week, okay, let's just do it for 5 days, or 6 days, Sunday alignment. Let's see who did the damn thing, who made sure that they didn't, no matter how they felt, they didn't look at their social media. That's a win, and that's a win that is created by by being accountable to someone just more than yourself. Because I've done it. You tell yourself, I'm going to get this done. But if you don't tell anybody else, who knows? Who knows that you didn't get it done? So for big projects, that's why I taught, and I'm going to talk about that real talk no other way later on in this live in a few minutes. It's getting late. But yeah, that's why I told her I got to get it done now, because now I'm accountable. I've made myself so that others are saying, okay, are you going to get this done? Or is this just lip service? Just like the community, I think I mentioned that I was building a community before I even started it. Here we are, a few weeks later, it's done. It's done. It's something that's private, as far as we don't have to worry about the narcissist coming in and peeking in. It's our community. So yeah. So and these are some of the things that healing alone actually costs you. And this is real talk right here. Healing alone will cost you time. It will cost you peace. It will cost you money. It will cost you new relationships, and it will cost you years. And I think I need to break down each one of those things. A lot of people, they come on these lives and they say, I wasted 10 years of my life with this person. I wasted 20 years of my life with this person. But if you don't begin the process of healing, how much more time are you going to waste? Oh, I'm not taking away the value of your time, that you wasted with this person, but how long are you going to keep the clock ticking? Because it doesn't get better until you heal. Your peace. You're never going to have 24 hours of peace until you heal. You're not. The narcissist is always going to be able to send you that text message that's going to screw up your life. They're always going to make that phone call out the blue. Flying monkeys all over the place. You're not going to have peace until you heal. Money. Hey, listen. I talked about those people that be doing heal from the trauma bond in 21 days. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not trying to get in nobody's pockets. I'm not trying to talk about nobody. But as far as my research, it's, unless you're intermittent supply, meaning there was nothing vested into destroying you, nobody's going to heal in 21 days. I'm sorry. I don't see it happening. So yeah, stay away from those healing 7 days, healing 3 days. Yeah, I got a course. It's called Break the Trauma Bond in 7 Steps, not 7 days. And like I said, the first module instructs you to give yourself grace and take your time. Oh, thank you, Keith. Thank you so much. I appreciate you I thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Keith. Another thing that's going to cost you is relationships. And what I mean by that is like, listen, let's be honest here. You're an empath, okay? Your main driving force throughout life has been to love and be loved at the end of the day. And after narcissistic abuse, we feel extremely, extremely lonely. Now, don't get me twisted. I'm not telling you to jump into another relationship. Go ahead and heal first. Okay, don't bring all this baggage that you got and drop it at somebody else's feet. Blessed says fourth. How are you, brother? How you doing, Keith? Blessed 456 says it's been 3 years and I'm still healing. Well, everybody heals at their own rate, but you're making hellified progress, Missy. You really are, because we've had conversations in these lives. So you're making hellified progress. And that's all that's important, is that you make progress. It's not a linear journey. I'm going to tell you from experience, it's not linear. It's going to take a lot of patience. It's going to take a lot of grace with yourself. Okay. And like I said, the last part is that inner work, that shadow work. There's no way around that. I'm sorry. I'm not sure anyone is ever fully healed. You know what? You're right about that, Keith. And I want to address that because I kind of look at it like AA meetings. Because the way that I look at it is like, yeah, I'm confident within myself. I am. Like I said, as long as I keep that painting of a oozing demon in my head every time their name comes up, or something triggers me to think about them or my kids, as long as I keep that in my head, I'm pretty cool. But you have to think, when we look at, remember, we're going through withdrawal. Part of the trial bond is you going through withdrawal. So if we look at illicit substances or even legal substances, there's always that chance that you can fall back. There can always be that stressor, that thing that just sends your life going haywire. And like I said, these demons seem to know, and let's say something sends you off the deep end where you're not thinking straight, they'll call you. They thank you for the repost, Keith. They will call you. This is what the narcissist does. Again, they're demons. It's like they can sense it. Like, oh, your life is in upheaval. This would be a good time for a Hoover. That's what they'll do. So yeah, Keith is right. It is something that, it's a constant thing that we have to deal with. But there's good news to this. Part of it is getting your confidence back and knowing that you can do it. Look at sports professionals. New records are broken every year. That's because they keep at what they do. They practice. During the off season, just because they're not on your TV screen doesn't mean they're not someplace practicing. I think they get like 2 weeks vacation or something like that. That's it. They're always trying to become bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And what they do, I think it's the same thing with narcissistic abuse. This is something that affected your life so deeply that, yeah, you're going to have to keep on learning. You're going to have to keep on adjusting. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, nothing worth having, especially peace, comes easy. So, yeah, be aware of that. Thank you for bringing it up, Keith. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was deep right there. So, relationships and years, don't like I said, you have to heal, because all you're going to do is bring a whole bunch of unwanted luggage to somebody else. So you have to heal. You have to get that balance. Like I said, at least the confidence that you had the day before you met your narcissistic abuser. Um, yeah, you have to. You have to, because there's somebody out there for you. Don't let, because you ran into this bad-ish crazy demon, think that there's nobody. I know that's what they said on their way out the door, or when you was walking. You'll never find anybody like me. Nah, 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 nah. The greatest lie ever told. Okay, the greatest lie ever told. Because once you heal, once you get your confidence back, guess what happened? Your light starts to glow. And when you heal, did I tell you about the superpower? You'll never get trapped in this issue again. I really don't worry about falling for another narcissist after I heal after this one. I don't. I don't, because I can smell them in the air sometimes. It's literally like a superpower. Keith says it, no, Corey. Yes, seriously. If you have no other reason to heal, it's to get that. Because it kind of guarantees that you won't get trapped in this again. But with that being said, when your light starts to glow, and that's going to attract them, I literally two. Now I'm up to two where I had to, like, yeah, I'm not going to do this again. But that knock radar will come up and it will protect you. But there's somebody out there that may be another empath. That might just be someone that gets you. That might be someone that just wants to get to know you. See, you have to heal because you're still in a state of hypervigilance where you trust no one. You are literally like Mulder. You trust no one. because of what you went through. And worse yet, you don't trust yourself. So healing is very important because I don't care if you've been married to this person for 35 years. There's somebody out there that's looking for you right now. And you don't even know it because you're hyper vigilant and all over the place and staring at your phone and trying to sneak to look at their social media. But there's somebody that's looking at you from afar right now. Yeah, Keith is, yeah, he agrees. But you have to give yourself grace. I know that it was years. Sometimes people will say the best years of my life, but your life is you're on this side. You made the draft pick for today. You know what I'm saying? You made this side. So you can still love. I mean, love is not about clubbing and everything else that it was when you're younger. Sometimes it's just being happy with another person. And I think we forget that after we get out of a narcissistic relationship because it's been years of being unhappy with another person. See, love is about being happy and supported. Okay. And you willing to help make the other person feel happy and supported. Everything kind of sorts itself out later. Like I said, every once in a while I go past this park and there's just an old couple. Now it's getting warm. They out there all the time. I think they was giving off PDAs, public displays of affection the other day. But they have to be like in their late 70s or their 80s. But it's love. And when you think about that, that's a beautiful thing. Hey Wante, what's up? What's up? So yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, and you shouldn't be taken away from that magic because of a bad-ish demon double. Oh, thank you for the Go Popular. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You shouldn't yeah, don't give up hope on the rest of humanity. Don't, that 6% of the world is narcissists, okay, by rough estimates. Don't give up on humanity for one demon. That's what they want you to do anyway. That's what they want you to do, you know. Again, just because they found a new supply means nothing. It's a transaction for them. It's like you going into 7-Eleven or Piggly Wiggly, wherever you live at, or Safeway, and buying a bag of chips. You were hungry at the time. You didn't want a full meal. You just wanted a bag of chips. There goes the new supply, a transaction. So stop worrying about them, really, really, because they're not getting anything better. You didn't. The narcissist will be the narcissist until the day they are gone. Okay, so awareness. This is what awareness versus healing is. Awareness, I know what happened. Healing, it dictates I know what to do next. Okay, knowing is not transformation. Applying is transformation. Action. I think it's like the third most powerful word in the universe. You got love, you got choice, you got action. Yeah. So that's like the trio right there. You got to do that. You know. And you got to ask yourself, what is one truth you already know but have not acted on? That's an important question. I want you guys to think about that. Okay, that's kind of like the beginning of inner work. You know. Um, okay, so let's talk about the power of community. Why community accelerates healing. Okay, you get perspective. Okay, you get accountability. We talked about that earlier. You get encouragement. Anybody, this is what I do. I want people to heal. I do. I do want people to heal. And I'm always going to encourage you guys. I don't care if there's one person in the room. I'm encouraging somebody at least once a day. Um, and witnesses to growth. I think that is important. People see that it is possible. We're all in different stages of our healing. And I think as we tear up, if that's even a polite term, but as we tear up in our healing, there are those that may be just coming out of the fog. And we kind of send a message like, yeah, this is possible. You can do this too. And that's a wonderful feeling. You have to remember, we weren't put on this planet, just like three of us. We are a community, and sometimes greater things are accomplished when we do it as a community. So yeah, I mean, I think Blessy used to tell me, stop laughing all the time because I used to do it all the time because I found it to be hilarious of what I experienced. I'm not laughing at anybody else. What I experienced, what I rewrote reality for. I found it to be amusing, but I had to remember not everybody's at the same stage that I am. You understand what I'm saying? Not everybody's at the same stage. So that might be offensive to some people. So now I try to tone it back a little bit. And yes, Wante is right. There are, different levels to healing. There are. And community helps foster that at all levels. It really does. When you have a community, you have like-minded people like Wante, Narcissistic, that's like my team. That's my extended fam. Wante, Narc Talks, Blessed 456, Stories of Strangeness, Narcastic. That's my team right there. I consider that my team. I've never met any of these people. Okay, but there's something that resonates community. There's something that makes me feel as if okay, we're on the same path. We're trying to help people. And at the same time, you have to remember that uh, you have to remember that once you start speaking to other people about this, you got two choices. You're going to sit back and trade campfire stories until the next season, or you can work on healing, and try to say, I can help you with this, can you help me with this? Honestly, once you come out the fog and look back, it can be very difficult not to laugh at yourself. I know. Blessed says yes. Yeah. So, and thank you, Keith, for the likes. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is, that's my team, and I try to help them, as much as I can. I try to, everything that I do, I make them a part of, because I've always seen the value in community. Communities can change the world. Communities can make the world a better place. And when you're talking about a community of freaking empaths, it gets no better than that. It really doesn't. It's a beautiful thing. You're talking about empaths coming together for a common thing. I don't know. I'm about to go get all wet-eyed and everything. So let me stop that. So you have to ask yourself if you're on this healing journey alone, and this is why I try to get people not to do it, even if you jump on lives like this. Keith has his thing, he does his lives. Narc Talks and Narcastic do lives, from time to time. I have the community, excuse me, and I'll talk about that later. Oh, that hurt. I have the community, and I go live from time to time. Duh, that's why I'm here. But yeah, you have to understand a couple of things. Healing speeds up when we stop carrying it alone, and that's the thing. Yes, most of our impact our networks is all impacts. No, you're correct. You are correct, Keith. Yes. When you look at this, nobody wants to stay in the trauma bond longer than they have to. I'm not going to rush you through it, but nobody wants to stay there longer than they have to. You get this feeling of, well, why am I even going through this? Let me just chill. Let me just back it up. Wasn't really that bad. When I was with them, at least I knew what to expect. But here, I don't know. So let me just go back. No, don't do that. So when you have community, you have people that's uplifting you and pushing you. And I know that's a concept. If you're just getting out of your narcissistic relationship, I know that's a concept you don't understand. Okay. You literally, once you're a part of this community, we're lifting you up because I'm going to sound a little bit selfish, but I say this all the time. I need every empath boots on the ground. This world needs to be healed. And like I always say, the narcissist ain't going to do it. So I need the empaths to do it. So if I can get y'all healed up and suited up and ready to go, oh, y'all going to do your thing. You're going to make the world better. You're going to do your purpose. Whatever it is, But I know for a fact that empaths, they're not going to make it worse, you know. And yeah, yeah. So, and then you have to remember if you're healing alone, who's supporting your healing? Who's pushing you forward? Who's clapping for you when you break past a certain stage? Who's doing that for you? So yeah, alone, I get it. Some things, some people want to be ninjas, but and I don't mean that in the street way. I mean like the ones that throw shurikens. Some people want to be, lone wolves. This is something that you have to remember. Part of what their whole thing was, the narcissist, was to keep what you want to tell somebody else before they had the whole ship shored up what you were going through. So they kept you isolated for a reason. So why are you going to self-isolate at this stage? I don't know. It's just a question. Just a question. So let me talk about this. So in the community we have the rewriting the reality workbook. Last week we launched the clarity response system. The rewriting, let me just explain each of those because some of y'all are just like, what the hell is he talking about? So the rewriting reality workbook is basically a workbook to help you understand if you are literally rewriting reality. It's actually printed out. It's got questions. You have to put down your answers. But it's key to help you understand and get that clarity of you are literally lying to yourself right now and you're making things worse. That's what that is for. The clarity response system, I launched that last week. That is a customized, custom GPT. You don't need to have a subscription to use it on ChatGPT. You can use it on a free plan. But what it does is it explains the communication between you and the narcissist. Whether you're still in the dynamic, you're out, you haven't gone completely no contact, or you can't go no contact because, those things that I mentioned, children, business, job, or property. Um, it deciphers communications for you. Okay, I actually took my time programming this. Again, another tool that I wish that I had. It's free in the community, so you just put it on your phone. You can cut and paste stuff, messages, emails. You can take screenshots, feed it into the system. The system will diagnose it, will actually tell you, exactly if the narcissist is trying to manipulate you, if they are trying to gaslight you, if they're trying to guilt trip you, so it will decode that for you. And then here's the fun part. It will give you options like, do you want to respond to this and give you the best way to respond? Or it will tell you, you got to ask it, should I respond or not? Because honestly, what I had to learn very early on is you don't have to go to every party you're invited to, especially with the narcissist. We've all got those. You ask one question and you get 15 different subjects, basically a book back. That's done on purpose. Confusion is always key for the narcissist. So the clarity response system helps you dig through the confusion, and also, yes, you have to pick and choose your battles. And also, you can actually program it, especially for court stuff, to actually keep track of what's going on. So that way, if you have to print something out, to show exactly on this date at this time, this person contacted me, caused me undue stress based on this, this, and this. It's not hearsay anymore. It's like, bow, here you go, Your Honor, or pull it out of the envelope and give it to me. Here you go, Your Honor. This is what I've been dealing with. Another thing is I just added module 3 to, and you can look, yes, you can. You can look back at your progress as well. You are correct. Blessed. Also, I just uploaded module 3 of, I just put that up so you can see my courses. So all the courses will actually end up there. Okay, so For this month, I uploaded module 3 and break the trauma bond in 7 steps. Um, yeah, Keith, you're right. He says courts and lawyers need more training in dealing with narcissistic abuse. Yeah, now here's the catch 22. Nobody really understands this unless they go through it. They don't. Again, this is why the narcissist hides in plain sight, because nobody understands it unless they go through it. Sometimes they just look at it as manipulation if they catch that aspect of it, but they never see the bigger picture. So yeah, I agree with you. We actually, resources are added every week. Okay, I try to do it on Sunday during the Sunday alignment or before the Sunday alignment. I try to load new resources. Again, I don't do it so that I can just give you another course. I'm just making it available to people that need it. I got a nonprofit, so I can't spend 24 hours a day just creating and giving, creating and giving. I would hope that people would see a need to support the mission so that I can create and give more. With that being said, since it is officially finished, I think I gave access to some of the team so that they can review it. And I was hoping that they would write back and say, you know what? You need to fix this, and fix this. But that never came, so I'm thinking it's all right. But I finished it out today, added some new stuff. So right now I have a lifetime thing going. So for what people would pay for a year, you get lifetime. I stay consistent with everything that I do. Um, yeah, so it's lifetime. If you want the link, I'm not even going to talk about it. Just go ahead and write it. I'm doing this because I go live tomorrow for a marathon for the whole June 1st awareness, narcissistic abuse awareness. So that's going to be a day. The only thing that's going to be missing is the barbecue, but we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to share and we're going to heal together tomorrow from 11 to 1. But it's going to be on the community, regrettably, it won't be on TikTok. Um, what I want to bring up is I will be reaching out to many of you. Remember, I talked about that show that I'm building for Amazon, Real Talk No Other Way. See, I didn't forget. I'm going to be doing test runs, so I'm going to be reaching out to people to see if they will be willing to do Zoom interviews. As I kind of figure out which way that I want to go, they're not going to go to waste. I'm actually going to put them up in the community so people can give me feedback inside of the community. But I know, Keith, I know, but we can't do digital barbecues. I don't know. Maybe we can. TikTok has grown through the years. But yeah, so I'll be reaching out to people about doing interviews over the next week because I think I only have like 40 days left to get at least the first 3 episodes up. So it'll be a Zoom interview, and if you have the time, like a half an hour, um, you know, it's simple. It's Zoom. I ask you a few questions. I won't broadside you. I'll give you questions ahead of time. The only thing that I ask is that we have a resolution at the end. So it won't be just storytelling for the sake of storytelling. We need to always give a resolution in this community. Real talk, no other way it's in the making. It's in the works. We're going to get this done. And with that being said, I don't know. Does anybody that's still here have any questions? Maybe I can be of assistance. I got nothing else to talk about. My mouth is dry and I'm drinking coffee, so yeah. So, anybody have any questions? Anything I can be of assistance with? Anything I should explain further? Let me know. Let me know. Oh, what happened? Oh, thank you for the gold popular, Wante. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, if you have any questions, I mean, I don't know everything, but I've been through a lot to know a lot. So I've had a lot going on in real life, but would like to work more with you. Anytime, man. I'll drop you over into the community. I thought Knock Talks, I think you came in under her at one point. So I'll just add you to the group. It's fine. To the community. But yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm always looking. Hey, listen, if we can get this done, like I said, the more boots on the ground, the quicker we can get the mission accomplished. So yeah, definitely, I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you. You know, anything else? Because Minister Robinson been at this since like 5:30 in the morning. You know, so yeah. Um, Yeah, so let me know. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. I'm going to give it like 5 more minutes. But I appreciate all of you. I do. I do definitely appreciate all of you. We're trying to get something new. We're trying to get the damn thing done. I'm working until 1600 tomorrow. After that, I'm free. Okay, as with all things blessed, just send me a direct message to me with your email. Everything. I can't even give you access without that. Or do I have it? I don't know. I do too much. Just send me a direct message and let me know where we're at with that. Because I'm going to spend most of the week working on getting this show concept nailed down. And then, second of all, I'm going to be, growing this community. So this is important. I think we can miss a lot of the shenanigans that happen in these lives. That are really not necessary to have nothing to do with healing. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. It's a social media network. We should say have fun, but my focus is not on fun all the time. It's about healing. It's about getting people free from this craziness. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Keith, I am going to do me a favor, Keith, before you get off, because I'm about to get off. Do me a favor. Send me your email. Send me a direct message with your email, and I will send you something before I call it quits tonight. Okay? Um, and yeah, guys, tomorrow, 11 to 1 in the community. In the community. If you can't figure out how to get to the community, it's up in my bio. If you want the founders thingy, because for the same thing as a year, you can get lifetime because tomorrow is Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. So you're gonna see my face a little bit more. Uh, Probably just doing videos, not lives, because I'm gonna be tired after the 11 to 1 live. So no, don't put it here because after I close this out, I ain't gonna get it. That's what I said. Send it to me directly. As soon as you close the window, all these messages disappear. I have no access to them. You got to send it to me directly. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I should have made that clear. No, I did say DM. But anywho, yeah. So we're gonna get the damn thing done. We're gonna continue to grow. If you guys see me again, hold me accountable too to what I do. Okay, I'm not above that. If you see me lacking in stuff, if you see me not being of assistance, pull my code to that, people. I'm serious. You know, like Biggie said, real people do real things. I don't think he said that, but I switched it around, keep it clean. So with that being said, I am going to head out of here because I have to get up early tomorrow and actually start prepping my notes for National Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. Not national, international. We getting seen, son. We are getting seen. So with that being said, Minister Robinson, Church of Real Talk, founder of the Now Movement, no other way but forward. The reason why I do everything I do, love you guys. Have a great Monday. I know that sounds counterproductive, but it's true. Have a great Monday.